Hope everyone's had a good weekend. Listen, some good football, man. I actually missed the football today. I just see Man City beat Bournemouth 3-1. And, as I said, I still think Man City, for me, are going to be the team that wins the league in the end. I just think the way Erling Haaland is scoring goals, it's going to take some stopping. And as I said, I think with Pep as well, I think Pep is due. He's due a trophy this season, man, and I think it's going to be the Premier League title, man. I definitely do think that. So again, Bournemouth are a very good team, and Bournemouth, I think Bournemouth can be happy. I mean, where they're now in the league, I believe they were second. I think they might have gone down to third, I believe, because Tottenham, obviously, who were third, got beat. So I believe they might be third, Bournemouth. But listen, they're a very good team, man. And them getting beat by Man City, I expected it because City at home, and it was always going to be tough, man. But 100%, I think Man City win this league. I know, obviously, a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of you that come onto the channel all the time are thinking Arsenal, it could be their year. Do you know what? Arsenal have done, you would say, well so far to be top. But I definitely still think there is, there's bumps in the road for Arsenal. I think defensively, as we know, they're very solid. But their Achilles heel for me is going to be the goals because, again, another set piece goal and, a header from Declan Rice, man. So, listen, man, I definitely do think there's going to be bumps in the road for Arsenal. But at the moment, they're top of the league. And that's all you can possibly say, man, is they've been the most consistent team. But 100% do feel that, it's a matter of time, man, before City catch up to them. I think City, Liverpool won yesterday as well. So let's not count Liverpool out. But I definitely do think, man, City and Liverpool are going to put pressure onto Arsenal. As I said, 10 games in, I think there's nothing to really look at, really, if we're honest. There's still a long way to go, and as I said, man, I think it's one of them things. We just have to wait and see what happens. So attack wins you matches, defense wins you trophies. Yeah, listen, I hear that. But when you haven't won a league title since 2003, we can't really be coming out with that. So let's just remain cautious on that front. But listen, Arsenal at the moment, they've been the most consistent team. Their goals from open play in the league is a problem. But I think we have to be honest and just say, listen, man, they are doing their thing. But listen, man, I think it's early days, and I do expect Man City to win this league title. And I do expect sooner or later, City are going to put the pressure on. And let's not forget, Arsenal still have to play City at the Etihad. So it is what it is, man. But yeah, listen, we're going to get into Kobbie Mainoo, Joshua Zirkzee. Again, unused subs yesterday in United's 2-2 draw with Nottingham Forest. And to think that, what I'm going to touch on first, guys, yeah, Ruben Amorim, for me, I'm not going to mess around. As I said, Ruben Amorim, for me, is a manager that he's just not going to be good enough for Manchester United. He's definitely not going to be a manager that I'm going to look at as him taking United to the level that not only have I seen United be at, but the level that I think with the players he has at the moment can be. So when obviously he won the 3 games in a row, a lot of fans were saying, a lot of fans were obviously getting a bit excited, saying that, has Amorim turned it around? Is the team now starting to perform? And I think yesterday you kind of saw that those 3 games that he won in a row, let's be honest, they were flukes. Because the Liverpool game, Man United should have lost. The Brighton game was lucky, I believe, as well, because, the foul on Luke Shaw that led to... Sorry, the foul by Luke Shaw on Ruta that led to the goal from Mbeumo, that could have gone a different way. You look at the fact that 2 of the goals that United scored come from Brighton's mistakes in playing out. And again, the Liverpool game, Cody Gakpo hit the post twice, was involved in the cross that hit the bar. He missed the open header as well. And Isak missed an easy chance really as well. So you look at those two games, United could have easily come out of those two games with 0 points. What team do you support? I'm a Man United supporter. Um, yeah, Liverpool did finally win, man. It's about time. Guys, make sure you guys are coming through tomorrow as well at 5:30. Obviously, me and Jonas, our regular stream every Monday. And I take it Jonas is gonna be in good spirits now, Obviously last week was difficult for him, but it would have been even more difficult after Liverpool got beat by Palace 3-0. But the fact they've won a game finally, he might be in a bit more in a positive mood. But yeah, listen, just going back to what we're saying. So this game yesterday for me, United should have lost the game. As I mentioned briefly, if it wasn't for Amad Diallo's quality, United do lose this game. And the fact that we have to continuously see this system with Amad playing as a wing back, a player of that quality to score a goal like that shouldn't be playing in that position. But there's no point moaning because this manager is going to play this system to the wheels fall off, and this is why I'm never going to be believing in this manager, because he doesn't pick the right players that play consistently. His subs are an absolute joke. And it's a matter of time, before everything starts unraveling. Because let's face it, man, he definitely should have been removed in the summer. But he's here and it's a problem. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Big up. Gav, will Kane break Lewandowski's Bundesliga record this season? I think the way Harry Kane's going, man, I mean, why not? Why not, man? The guy's a top player. He's scoring goals at ease. I mean, what did Lewandowski get? Did he get something like 40 something goals? I think he can reach that personally. Whether he does it this season or not, I don't know. But Harry Kane's a top player, man, and yeah, he's taking this league for a joke, really, and it is, man. Gav, did you see that Bayern 17-year-old baller? I did. I can't remember his name, but he looks like a very good player, left-footed. Yeah, he's a top player, man. That Harry Kane, and yeah, the 17-year-old man, he does look special. He does. Again, I've got to see more of him to make a judgment, but I've seen him a little bit. I think he scored in the Champions League the other week as well. So yeah, man, it's one of them things. But listen, what we're gonna get into, guys, as I said, Joshua Zirkzee, Kobbie Mainoo. I think so far, Benjamin Sesko has been. I think he's been decent since he's come. I think his link play. I think he's just little bits in games that I've seen from him. I think he has been decent. But what I would say, yesterday was a poor game. And it wasn't all to do with Benjamin Sesko. I think the fact that the midfield was so far deep in connecting with Sesko meant that Sesko was doing a lot of the work on his own. I think if you look at the fact that yesterday, you actually saw the problems with the system, because Brian Mbeumo, as I keep saying, is not an inside player. He plays out on the wing and does come inside, but playing as a right 10 in comparison to playing as a wide forward, you kind of saw the issues there, because Brian Mbeumo is not a player that's going to pick the ball up from deep like what Cunha does and start creating and making things happen. Brian Mbeumo likes to operate from out wide, and be in the final third. But you can clearly see yesterday, the way that Sesko was isolated, Sesko was, he wasn't really holding the ball up regularly, as what he has been doing. And Zirkzee and Cunha and Mbeumo couldn't really make any kind of runs off of Sesko because the play kept breaking down. But I look at the fact that this system does isolate the striker. So again, it's one of them things for me that the fact that Zirkzee never come onto that pitch after Sesko being that poor, is one of the main reasons why I can't stand this manager. This man's an absolute disgrace for even doing that, because if Zirkzee's not getting on the pitch, yeah, when Sesko has been that bad, then what's the future for Zirkzee? The same with Kobbie Mainoo. The fact that Kobbie Mainoo, yeah, is not even getting on the pitch, and we have to watch week in, week out Bruno Fernandes, even though he was poor yet again yesterday. Casemiro was better than him, and obviously got the goal as well. But the fact that Kobbie never even got a minute, and Bruno yet again plays a full game, Sesko plays a full game yesterday as well. I mean, I did say this before the window was shut, yeah? When there was noise about Kobbie wanting to go on loan, and there was noise about Kobbie, obviously for his World Cup place, he needs to go on loan, and the club were blocking the move, I said, I don't believe Kobbie goes anywhere. I thought it was more of a case of Kobbie and his team forcing Manchester United to make a move on the manager. The fact that Ratcliffe come out and says Amorim deserves 3 years and he's still here, for me, that was concerning for me, because Manchester United, for me, cannot afford to let Kobbie Mainoo, who's an academy prospect, someone that is good enough to play in this first team, they cannot let him go in favour of this manager staying. Now, if we're looking at it now, there's 2 months to January, yeah? Now, I'm looking at the fact that Man United are playing 1 game a week. The way things are going, it's going to come down to a point, and I want you guys in the chat as well to let me know what you're thinking is, yeah? But it's either going to be you're either with the manager, or you want Mainoo and Zirkzee. It's that simple. It's that simple. For me, Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo are 2 of Man United's most talented players. This manager, as we know, doesn't like talented players. He just wants to play players that have legs. You know what I mean? Which is why you're seeing Dalot play. Dalot was poor yesterday, and he eventually took Dalot off because he needed to. But Dalot was poor. Bruno was poor. Ahmad is a top player, but let's face it, yeah. Ahmad only plays because Ahmad's got legs. Ahmad's quality is a bonus. But if Ahmad was a Joshua Zirkzee in terms of, his style of play, in terms of he wasn't someone that was a runner, Ahmad wouldn't play also. So this manager has a fascination with playing runners. And the fact that Zirkzee and Mainoo don't play is purely based on that. But to think that both players never even got off the bench after players in their positions were poor, like, the writing's on the wall, and I wouldn't say the writing's on the wall for them players, yeah. I'm bringing it more to the manager, because there's no part of me that's going to side with a manager and in leaving 2 players that are quality on the bench. There's no excuse for how the team performed yesterday, and you don't even make any subs, so even more now, it's what is Ineos going to do? Are they going to back Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee and get rid of this manager, or are they just going to just ride it off to the wheels come off, ride it to the wheels come off with this manager? Because this manager is not taking this club anywhere. I don't care what anyone says. This squad that Man United have, for me, is definitely a top 4 squad. I said start of the season, yeah. I said top 6, it should be a minimum for Manchester United. I don't believe they can get top 6, not because I don't think they've got the players to get top 6, but I just don't like this manager. I don't trust this manager. And for me, he's part of the biggest problem as to why this team are not performing. People will say we didn't get beat yesterday. People will say that, United have won 3 games in a row. Personally, I don't really care about that, because I've already told you guys, the last 3 games United played, which they won, those 3 games there. The Bournemouth game, Sunderland game, sorry, I didn't see, so I can't really make a judgment on that. But definitely the Liverpool and Brighton game, that could have gone a different way. So, good, we picked up the 3 points, but you clearly see yesterday the problems. And I said at the start of the game, yeah, I said, Man United, you know, every Man United fan will know that Sean Dyche is going to sit in and play with a low block. Everyone knew that, you know. If you've been watching Sean Dyche's teams for years, you just know how Sean Dyche plays. Physical players that sit in the low block, you know, counter attack. You know, we all know how he's going to play. Yeah. So what's the best way to break a counter attack? You know, you need to have technically skilled players in the final third that can break the lines. You know, you need to have players like a Joshua Zirkzee that can drop deep, link the play, and allow, as I said, Mbeumo and Cunha to get up and join him in that sense, yeah? You need players like an Ahmad in the final third so he can work his magic and create an opening. Kobbie Mainoo in the tight spaces to create an opening. So these things I said before the game, but I just knew this manager was never gonna play Kobbie Mainoo and Zirkzee. I think the majority of the fan base knew that anyway. So you're relying on Ahmad and Cunha to break down a low block because they're the only two players of quality that are capable of doing that. Yeah. So before the game, when I see the lineup and the fact that it was an unchanged lineup, you know, I thought he would have made two subs. I thought two changes. I thought Harry Maguire and Mason Mount would have played. Obviously, they didn't play, but the fact that this manager, you know, didn't identify that Nottingham Forest are going to play in the low block, and you don't play your ball players, just shows me that this manager hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He hasn't got a clue. And again, the first goal, should it have been a corner or shouldn't it have not been? You know, I mean, I've seen it not given. I mean, was the whole ball out of play? I don't know. But again, Nottingham Forest had to switch on. And obviously, Casemiro scores from the corner. Then you look at Amad Diallo, you know. And again, I had people telling me, you know, Amad Diallo's not a 10. You know, that kind of goal that Amad Diallo scored shows you why he's a number 10. Because only special players can score that kind of goal. You know, that was pure technique. And when I'm saying Ahmad's a 10, number 10s have notoriously throughout the years, you know, they've been the Mavericks. They've been the go-to players, you know, and notoriously, they are the most technically gifted players in the whole squad, you know. And when I'm hearing people tell me Ahmad's not a 10 and he produces a goal like that, just shows you that a lot of these people don't really know what they're talking about. Do not look at the fact that this manager, you know, is a disgrace by playing Ahmad as a wing-back. You know, how you can play a player that talented as a wing-back and not playing him closer to goal is mind-boggling, really, because it's an absolute disgrace. And again, Ahmad's got this manager out of jail because let's face it, Nottingham Forest should have won that game. You know, Nottingham Forest were a much better team in the second half. The first half was, you could probably say, you know, 50-50, but I thought Forest edged it. But for me, the fact that Man United, well, Amarim more or less has been saved by Amad Diallo, just tells you, you know, what a quality player Amad is. And we have to continuously see this player playing wing-back. The fact that he didn't make any attacking subs and he brings on defenders and you've got players that can change a game, even though they're players, for me, that should be starting games in Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee, just tells me that this manager just needs to go, man. Like, and again, it's not reactionary because I said, yeah, I'm going to try and refrain from talking about this manager because Ineos have already showed us that they've failed. The fact that Ineos can keep this manager in charge after what has been an absolute disaster since he's come, it just shows you that this club ain't serious and the standards have been lowered because he's made it this far to get 3 wins on the bounce and then brought back down to reality, yeah, by a draw against a team that is second from bottom. And now we're going into the game against Tottenham. Now, Tottenham haven't been great, yeah, but I can guarantee you this now, Man United don't beat Tottenham next week. I guarantee you. Because this manager is incapable of playing a team, yeah, that will go to... are we at home or are we away? I'm not too sure. But this manager, for me, is incapable of playing a team that can go and beat Tottenham. because I can already tell you the team that he's going to play already, yeah? He's going to play the same team, bar one or two subs, and the subs are probably going to be, barring any injuries. You might see Dorgu come in for Dallo because Dallo was that poor. Harry Maguire might come in for Lenny Yoro, and then he might swap Ugarte for Casemiro, or Mason Mount might play instead of Sesko. So this manager just plays the obvious players, But what I would tell you, yeah, and I did say to people that when people were getting carried away saying, he's won 3 on the bounce, are you going to change your mind, etc. I was saying, look, 3 points is the main thing, 9 points in 3 games. I expect Man United to win games. I do. But I did say, listen, have a look at the bigger picture, because the bigger picture is, it could have all been very different, had Liverpool taken their chances, had Brighton not have been so sloppy in possession. It could have all been different. But the fact that we had to watch him not make an attacking substitution yesterday, I mean, as a United fan, I'm disgusted by that, because you're losing the game, or the game's in the balance, and you don't even change things, even after players are not even playing too well, like Sesko. So this is what I'm trying to say to you guys. This manager just can't be trusted. And if there's any fan that is thinking this manager can turn it around, I'm telling you this now, he ain't turning anything around. He's not. He's very stubborn in what he does. And again, that's his own prerogative, really. If he wants to be stubborn and play this same system, play certain players in certain positions, again, he's the manager. He decides to do what he wants to do. But the reality is, this is not going to end well for Ruben Amorim. It's not going to end well. How he continuously starts Dallo, am I surprised he's starting Dallo? I'm not, because Dallo's Portuguese. If Dallo wasn't Portuguese, yeah, and the reason why Dallo plays, again, yeah, is because he's Portuguese and he's an athlete. If he was neither one of them, this manager wouldn't start him. He's actually taking him off now, which is, finally he's taking him off, but he has no choice. But the fact that Dallo starts week in, week out is a problem. Patrick Dorgu in pre-season and start of the season was one of Man United's best players. And I said Dorgu's going to be Dorgu's going to be the scapegoat, because Ahmad has to play because he's one of our best players, even though I hate seeing him play as a wing-back. And Dallo's going to play, so which means Dorgu's is the odd one out. It's the same now with Lenny Yoro, yeah? Lenny Yoro is going to be the fall guy if Maguire comes back in, because De Ligt clearly has to play, because De Ligt is not only our best defender, but for me, he's one of the best defenders in the world right now on performance, and he has to play. Luke Shaw is on a lot of money, and to be fair, he was decent in the first half. Second half, he was poor, but we've seen this so many times from Luke Shaw. So Lenny Yoro, unfortunately, is going to be the fall guy. So the better players are the fall guys for players that are either favourites of the manager or are on a lot of money. So again, man, it's an absolute problem with this manager and this system. So yeah, listen, guys, let me know what you think about Mainoo and Zirkzee, because do I believe Mainoo and Zirkzee actually leave Manchester United? I'm still gonna say no, because I just don't understand, yeah. If I just don't understand, or I just don't wanna think of the fact that Man United let Zirkzee and Mainoo go in favour of this manager, because this will be something that I've seen all too many times. There's a problem with this club in hiring certain managers, and then the best players have to go because they're not fitting into how this manager wants to play. And the problem is, yeah, you look at Mourinho. Mourinho wanted to get rid of Anthony Martial. Why? Because Martial, wasn't a Jose Mourinho type player, even though Martial, was arguably, him and Pogba were the reasons why Jose kept his job for so long. This club is allergic to good players. They either play them out of position or they try to force or they try to move them on. The same with Eric Ten Hag. He was hell bent on playing the front three of Rashford, Højlund, and Garnacho, which was never gonna do well. Let's be honest. In favor of having players like, like a Jadon Sancho playing, who's a technically gifted player. In favor of having someone like Anthony playing, who was better than both Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund, even though he played different position to Rasmus Højlund. You look at it now. Joshua Zirkzee is having to settle for a place on the bench. And again, Sesko has been decent, but there's no way that Sesko starts ahead of Zirkzee for me. I said at the start of the season, I said at the start of the season that if you want to get more out of Cunha and Mbeumo, you need a facilitator in Joshua Zirkzee that is unselfish and that is good at linking the play, because you get more out of Cunha and Mbeumo. I had people saying to me the other day, Mbeumo's now starting to score goals. Cunha got his first goal. And he just tells you very quickly how football just reverts back to type. Because in this system, Cunha and Mbeumo are not going to score plenty of goals. They're not. Because this system is not set up to get goals. It's not. No matter what anyone says. The quality of those two players, will allow them to get goals, but not at a rate that they were getting, at their former clubs. Why is it that Cunha looks better at Wolves? Why is it that Mbeumo looks better at Brentford? Because they're playing in a thriving system to get the best out of them. Tell me what player benefits from this 3-4-2-1 formation. Tell me what player benefits from it, because I can't tell you one. There ain't one player that looks good in this system. I mean, I'm not going to say De Ligt, because De Ligt is good anyway. He'll play good in a 4. He'll play good in a 3 because he's a top defender. But there ain't no outfield player, even the players that I don't rate, that look good in his system. But this manager is hell-bent on this system, and it's an absolute joke. But again, I'm going to go back to Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo, And I keep saying this. Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee in a 4-2-3-1 formation, you'll be getting a lot more out of them, and they'll be starters for me. The fact this manager just doesn't use them, and he didn't even bring them on at half time or in the second half, I mean, if I'm them, I'm handing in a transfer request, 100%. Because their futures for me should be at this club, but it depends what Ineos want to do. And this is why, for me, I'm still going to say Ineos have a decision to make. Because Ineos either sack the manager or they back Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo. Now, for me, I'm backing Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo all day long. Because players win you games. Players win you games. And Southampton sacked manager Will Still. Hey. Bloody hell. Everyone's getting sacked left, right and centre, man. Vitor Pereira got sacked today of Wolves. Will Still got sacked of Southampton. Listen, sackings are happening left, right and centre, just not at Man United for some reason. So again, the standards at these clubs are high. Man United standards are at an all-time low. To think that Ruben Amorim is still here after what he's served up, is an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. So, madness. Guys, I'm going to go through some of your comments. Again, we do have good squad depth. We do have good squad depth. But if you've got a manager that is not using that squad depth to its full capacity, what's the point? How can you not make one attacking change yesterday after what we saw yesterday? He brought on what? Mazraoui and Dorgu. Like, why do you think that's going to change the game? Don't make any sense. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. But listen, man, we have to just keep enduring this nonsense for some reason. Why Ineos just can't see the bigger picture and just sack this manager, I just don't understand it, really, And again, this ain't reactionary because I've not rated this manager. When I first knew this manager, for me, was the wrong guy was when I see the players he was favouring. Once I saw the players he was favouring, this is when I said, yeah, I'm not supporting this manager. Because too many Man United managers, Ten Hag, Mourinho, you know, Solskjaer to an extent, they favour the wrong players. And when I saw that Amorim was favouring Bruno Fernandes, Dallo, you know, even the likes of Garnacho when he was here, Rasmus Højlund. As soon as I saw him favouring them players, that's when I said, yep, he's not the manager for this club. No way. So, yeah, it's one of them things. Gav, the joke is he's fluked every game and now it's like he's the second coming. We need to get Kobbie on. I simply can't understand why we're talking about selling Zirkzee. Amorim is a joke, man. I agree. I agree. Like, again, just go through every game this season that Man United have had. You know, the Arsenal game, you know, we were told that they actually played well. I watched that game and they were just better than Arsenal, but we lost the game. And was it a case that Arsenal was shit because we made them look shit? I don't think so. I just think on the day, we played slightly better, but come away with 0 points. Yeah? You look at the Fulham game. Fulham should have won that game. And let's not forget, the own goal, yeah, was actually a foul by Lenny Yoro on Calvin Bassey. You know, and then in the end, Fulham should have won the game. You know, the Chelsea game. You know, the Chelsea game. 10 men. You know, United obviously got the 2 goals against 10 men. As soon as it went down to equal players, United struggled. And Chelsea actually won that second half. I know obviously United won the game in the end, but a lot of it had to do with United being down to, with Chelsea being down to 10 men. And the substitutions from Maresca were an absolute joke. You know, you look at the Brentford game, we got absolutely destroyed in that game. Man City, we got destroyed. You know, Liverpool, we mentioned already, should have lost that game, really, if we're being honest. But poor finishing and luck, you would say. The Brighton game we spoke about, you know, they were fortunate in that game. Sunderland, again, I didn't watch it, but we won 2-0. What was the other game? Oh, and the Burnley game. You know, that game should have ended a draw because it was a foul on Ahmad, but the foul took place outside. So, again, all these games that Amorim has had, I can't tell you any game that's been convincing. Not one. But yet, we still got to look at this manager, you know, and see him in the dugout and think anything's going to change. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But so we have to get Xavi in. He will play Ahmad and Kobbie in their correct positions. Again, you know, when people ask me what manager would you like, just go and get me a manager that wants to play with the best players and the most technical players on the pitch. Because the best players, the most technical players on the pitch would eventually work it out. You know, we should have been looking at this manager differently from the very start when he started playing Ahmad as a wing back. I've never seen a player that technically gifted play at wing back. Again, if anyone's ever played football before, you know, and you've played in a team that has a wing back, you know, wing back is an unforgiving role. It's a position on the pitch that you don't want to play because it's a position where, you know, it's a thankless task in a sense where a lot of the time you're used as a decoy, the overlapping run. It's up and down, up and down. To think that we've got a player as talented as Ahmad, who is technically one of our best players, playing at wing back, like it makes no sense. That is like, yeah, that is like Barcelona playing Pedri at fullback. You know what I mean? Or playing Yamal at fullback. Like, it's ridiculous, man. The fact that we have to watch this is a problem in itself. You know, imagine back in the day, you know, Barcelona decided to play Ronaldinho, you know, as a left back or as a right back. Like, you'd be thinking, what are you doing? That's the equivalent. Ahmad is that good, that technically gifted, which was proven by the goal we scored yesterday, and we have to see him playing at wing back. You know, just so we can see him in the team. You know, it's an absolute joke, man. It's an absolute joke. If you want to fit Ahmad and Mbuemo in the team at the same time, just play them both in their strongest positions. Ahmad in the 10, Mbuemo as a right winger. Simple. And you've got it sorted. But this manager thinks he's clever. He wants to be awkward and thinks he's smarter than everyone else by playing Ahmad at wing back and playing Mbuemo as a right 10. You know, he's trying to use Ahmad as his Giovanni Quenda that he had at Sporting Lisbon. And why do you think Quenda doesn't want to play for Amarim? And he's gone to Chelsea. You know, all these questions that need to be asked, because it's an absolute disgrace to see Ahmad playing as a wing-back. Disgrace. So again, listen, just go and get me a manager, whether it's Xavi, whether it's Iraola, you know, top manager, you know, Zidane, whoever. Go and get me a top manager that wants to play players in their best positions. Because I can tell you this now, you play players in their best positions, you'll get better performances. If you play the correct players, you get better performances. It's that simple. It's that simple, you know. So Sesko's been poor for me. Nothing compared to Zirkzee. Yeah, listen, as I said, you know, I didn't want Sesko to begin with. I didn't. You know, there was other players that I wanted. You know, I wanted Ivan Toney, you know, Mateta, Johan Visser. I think any three of them, you know, any one of them would have been a good signing for United for being Premier League proven that they can score goals in this league and the kind of player that United needed. But then when United went to Sesko, again, fans were saying, Man United need a 30-goal-a-season striker, because a lot of fans don't really understand that if you've got wide forwards, you don't need a 30-goal-season striker. You've got someone in Zirkzee that is a facilitator for that front line. So United went for a player that scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga, and all of a sudden this 30-goal-season striker went all quiet. You know, again, I didn't really want Sesko, but since he's come in, there's something there to work with, and I think he's actually been quite decent. But the fact that he's starting games ahead of Zirkzee regularly is why I have the problem. And that's nothing on Sesko, but what Zirkzee would provide for me is a lot better than and it's a lot more crucial in terms of having wide forwards in Cunha and Mbuemo. Because I believe he'll get more out. I believe Zirkzee will get more out of those two than what Sesko would. And that's not saying Sesko's a bad player, but Zirkzee for me has the technical attributes to get better out of those two players in particular. So again, I'm not saying Sesko's been a poor signing. I think Sesko's been decent, but I will start Zirkzee. And again, I'm hearing absolute idiots, yeah, and I'm gonna call them idiots because when I'm hearing people say, yeah, that Zirkzee is not a number 9, it tells me that these people either have an agenda against certain players, yeah, or they just don't understand what football's all about, yeah. I've said this previously, yeah. You get number 9 strikers that are fox in the boxes, false nines, target men, players that play on the shoulder, yeah. You get different types of number 9s. Joshua Zirkzee is a striker, but you would say he's a false 9, yeah. He can be a false 9, he can be a target man. But when I'm hearing people say that Zirkzee is not a striker, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean he's not a striker? He might not be the kind of striker that you like to see, but when you're saying he's not a striker, you're actually talking shit. Like, and I keep hearing people say Zirkzee's not a 9. I mean, I've never heard such nonsense in his life. Why was he a number 9 at Bologna then? Why did we see a different Zirkzee? Why? Well, all of a sudden he comes to Manchester United and he's not a 9. According to who? To some of these deluded fans, or according to Ruben Amorim. I don't give a damn what Amorim says. Amorim can say Zirkzee's not a 9 all he wants. He might not be the 9 that he likes, but when he's saying he's not a 9, it's like these guys don't understand what they're talking about. They're talking rubbish. You wouldn't compare Harry Kane and Erling Haaland. You know what I mean? You wouldn't compare Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe. You know, even though, as I said before, I see Mbappe as a left winger still, but you don't compare them 3 strikers. Harry Kane's different to all 3 of them. You know, Harry Kane drops in. You know, he's not someone that plays on the shoulder. You know, so but they're all number nines in a sense. You know what I mean? So when we're saying that when people are saying Zirkzee is not a nine, it's like these people don't understand football, man, and it's frustrating. So yeah, it's crazy, man, crazy. And the thing is, Zirkzee for me, he's a complete striker in the sense of he's all rounded. You know, he's all rounded. He's got a great touch, great technique. You know, he can create chances. He can create chances for himself as well, which is important. The guy can score goals. He can. You know, he's good. He's good in the air as well. And the fact that Man United or Ruben Amorim is not utilising a player like that is ridiculous, really. We need to play 4-3-3 with Zirkzee up top and Mainoo in the midfield. Again, I've said this from the start, yeah? I said 4-3. The reason why I want to see a 4-2-3-1 is purely to get Ahmad in the 10. Because if you're playing 4-3-3, you're more or less playing two box-to-box midfielders in a sense. So that's why I want to see the 4-2-3-1 to give Ahmad a free role. And then the thing with Ahmad, there's no talk about Ahmad doesn't work hard. Because Ahmad does work hard. So if you play Ahmad in the 10, he's got the quality of a number 10 and he's got the work rate as well to match. So for me, there's no talk about him not being able to play as a number 10 in the Premier League. You know, why no manager has even identified that Ahmad can play in the 10, again, is a joke. It's a joke, man, because he's clearly a number 10 and he's got the work rate to match it. But yet this manager refuses to play that sort of formation, you know. So, again, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, I don't mind. You know what I mean? But I'd much prefer the 4-2-3-1 to see Ahmad in the 10, you know. And then, again, you can interchange. You can interchange Ahmad and Cunha if you wanted to. The two behind the number 10. Kobbie can play in one of the 8s because that position now becomes different because, again, the 3-4-2-1 that Amarim's playing, it requires a different kind of responsibility in the midfield, which is why Kobbie's struggling in that position. But you change the formation to a 4-2-3-1, I guarantee you get a better Kobbie Mainoo. And again, if you get someone next to him, you know, that can dictate the tempo of a game or that has legs, again, you get a better Kobbie Mainoo. You know, Zirkzee has the 9. But this manager's not going to do that. And this is why I just can't rate what's going on here, really. You know? Gav, will Chido Obi even play for 1 second? Again, I don't even think Chido is good enough, really, if I'm honest with you. You know, from what I've seen of Chido, again, he's still got potential to grow. But from what I've seen of Chido for me is not a future Manchester United striker from what I've seen throughout the years. He's not. I think Chido he needs to go on loan for me, for one. But I think Chido will have a good career, but I don't think he's going to be at Manchester United. Because I'm looking at what he has to offer as a footballer. And for me, I don't rate his all-round game, you know. But the fact that he hasn't been sent out on loan, you know, it doesn't really make sense to me, really. But, yeah, it's one of them things, really. So, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Our football is awful to watch. I agree. It is. It is. But why are we surprised, man? You know, if you're playing the majority of your team that are athletes, why do we expect the football to be any different? Because it's not going to be. And this is the problem. So my main issue is we get told Mainoo and Zirkzee can't leave because they will be important during AFCON. They are not getting any minutes, which means during AFCON, they won't be match sharp. Again. But if you're Kobbie or Zirkzee, yeah, why are you waiting until AFCON? I mean, what, like, if I'm Kobbie or Zirkzee and I'm not getting minutes now, why would you be waiting to see the manager's going to play you during AFCON when you're losing 2 other players? Because in a sense, that's just using those 2, really, when you think about it. So if I'm Zirkzee or if I'm Zirkzee or if I'm Ahmad, I mean, or if I'm Kobbie, I'm not going to rely on Amarim losing Mbeumo and Ahmad for them to start getting game time. You know, he should be using them right now. That's the problem. So if the club are trying to block their moves, then what's that all about, really? You know, that's what I would say. So I think January is going to be very interesting because if I'm both of them, I'm forcing a move, definitely. You know, I don't want them to go because, as I said, they should be playing. But this manager, the fact he never brought them on yesterday is a piss take. So it's one of them things, isn't it? So also, what I find crazy is certain fans that say Kobbie won't work, base it on his performances next to Casemiro, who isn't a runner. Imagine Kobbie next to Anderson. That would work wonders. The thing with me, yeah, I think Anderson's a very good player. I do think he's good, but I would only sign Elliot Anderson dependent on what happens with Kobbie because Man United for me need a left-footed central midfielder for balance, and I keep saying this. You know, I will still go for Baleba. I don't care what anyone says. I know Baleba hasn't been great, but Baleba needs to be the signing. You know, again, Camavinga's the dream signing, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. So Baleba for me, I like Walton as well. But Baleba for me, in terms of what I feel Baleba can offer, you know, I'm looking at Moises Caicedo and I'm looking at Baleba as a left-footed version of Caicedo, which is why I think Baleba needs to be signed. Again, Baleba hasn't been great this season, but Baleba is a good player still. So what I would say is Anderson and Mainoo for me, I don't particularly think that works great. You know, I think it's either going to be either one of them two, you know, because Man United for me need like a left-footed central midfielder for the balance. So I like Anderson, but the only way I would say go and get an Anderson is if Kobbie does go. Then Anderson for me becomes essential. But at this moment in time, as long as Kobbie's there, you know, because you're literally having the same thing. If Anderson comes in, where's Kobbie gonna play? Because I wouldn't play Kobbie and Anderson together unless you're gonna play a 4-3-3. But that means you're gonna have to have someone that can sit deep in midfield, you know. So yeah, I think Baleba for the left foot for the balance. You know, I love Adam Wharton, but I think Wharton's going to go to Man City personally. You know, if I'm Wharton, I'm staying away from Man United. I'm going to Man City because Man City play the way that Wharton would want to play. So I hear it, man. I hear it, but it's crazy. It's crazy to think, man, that Kobbie Mainoo can't even get game time in this team. So Kobbie Mainoo is England's best player, and he's literally on the bench. It's completely ridiculous. Yeah, I think that's getting a bit carried away. He's not England's best player. I mean, he's a top player, Kobbie, man. But to say he's England's best player, he's not that, man. He's not that. He's potentially a top player, and potentially could be one of England's best players. But he's not England's best player now. He's not. But there's no doubt, yeah, that he should be getting more game time. And to think that this is a player that was, you know, tipped to be a future Man United central midfielder for years to come and for England, he now can't even get into the starting lineup for Man United, and he's not even getting a sniff of the squad for England, you know. And is that purely on Kobbie Mainoo? I wouldn't say it is. You know, it's on the manager. It's on the manager, 100%. Because there's no excuse why Kobbie didn't even come on yesterday. No excuse. And definitely January, because I can see the same thing happening, because this man's just stubborn. He's only going to play Kobbie Mainoo when he's probably desperate. And for me, if you're Kobbie Mainoo or Joshua Zirkzee, you need to be angling for a move, whether it's a permanent or a loan. But I hope it doesn't come to that point, because this manager, for me, needs to be gone before then. Because I can guarantee this now, if a new manager comes in and plays the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, you'll see Zirkzee and Kobbie both playing and both thriving as well. So, crazy, man. Crazy. So, I'd bench Sesko and play Cunha 9 with Zirkzee 10. Now, I wouldn't do that. No way. No way. Like, you can't play Cunha in the 9. Like, playing Cunha in the 9, you're wasting Cunha's talents. Cunha's someone that needs to be on the ball. You know, the number 9 position, is not meant for a Matthias Cunha. You know, let Zirkzee play that role and let Zirkzee drop deep and link the play. You know, because all you have to look at what both players, him and Mbeumo, were doing for their previous clubs. You know, Mbeumo was the one that was, you know, tasked with getting numbers from out wide. Cunha's a maverick. So you play them in a 4-2-3-1, you can allow both players to be what they were at their previous clubs. You know, not to mention Cunha could come in as a number 10. You know, so I don't want to say Cunha at 9. That's the biggest problem. Cunha shouldn't be playing the 9. Cunha is actually a number 10. So just play Cunha again, this system right now, you know, if he is going with a system which is incorrect anyway, then Zirkzee has to be the main striker. But the fact that we have to see Mbeumo play as a right 10 is the problem in itself, because a lot of fans are probably thinking, you know, Mbeumo's actually playing in his position, but he's not, because this system has number 10s. Mbeumo's never been a 10. He's a wide forward. He's a wide forward playing as a 10. So yeah, it's an absolute joke, man, this manager. Let's be honest. So if they want to leave, then let them go. Nah, I disagree, man. I disagree. I think personally, why do you want them to go in the first place? Because to come on there and just say if they want to leave, let them go, they have every reason to want to leave because they're not being used. You know what I mean? And there's no way I'm gonna sit here and say that those two players shouldn't be playing. They should be playing. This manager doesn't want to play them not because they're not good players, but it's because they're not athletes in the way that he sees football. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. And as Niche fan says, Amorim needs to go, not two of our best players. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. And there we go again. Does he need to go? He needs time. Sick of sacking managers because of the toxic fan base. But what I would say, yeah, is Scott Bramwell. I look here and I think, you know, I wouldn't say it's a toxic fan base. Having a difference of opinion doesn't mean it's toxic. I would say you're toxic for saying that these players need to go because you're settling for this manager that has proven nothing so far. Because of what? The facts are, you know, this manager isn't doing a good job. It's not about he needs time. Like this whole he needs time nonsense, yeah, is just a lowering of the standards. You know, you might want to lower your own standards, but I'm not going to do that. You know, he doesn't need time. He's been given, for a start, he's been given time and he's been given players and he isn't doing a good job. It's as simple as that. So, if people think it's toxic because they've got a difference of opinion, then that's their problem. But you're not going to get me saying that Kobbie and Zirkzee needs to go before the manager. The manager hasn't shown me anything. He hasn't. I couldn't stand Erik Ten Hag. Ten Hag's been better than Amorim. He's been better than Amorim. And I couldn't stand Ten Hag. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. But can't please everyone, man. Big up to Barbara Joseph for the super sticker. Big up. We need to play 4-3-3. Lemens, Dorgu, Delit, Yoro, Mazraoui, Casemiro, Mainoo, Ahmad, Mbeumo, Zirkzee, Cunha. And you know what? That is the exact team. Yeah, that is the exact team that I will play. That's the exact team that I will play. You know, that's the exact team that I will play. But this manager's not going to play this team. You know, there's that team there for me. Like, I've got time for that team. You know, Lemens in goal again. You know, I did say to people that Lemens is not out of the woods yet. You know, he's had a couple of good performances, but there's going to be times where he's going to come under pressure. There's going to be times where possibly he should have saved some goals, but there's something to work with there, put it that way, yeah? But Dorgu at left back, I keep saying this, yeah? Patrick Dorgu, for me, could be Bayern Munich's answer to Alphonso Davies at left back. I'm not saying he's as good as Alphonso Davies, but he has the physicality and he has the pace of an Alphonso Davies. Just play him at left back. You get a better Dorgu as well, I believe. So have him at left back. Right back, Mazraoui. Yeah, Mazraoui for me. And again, the fact that Mazraoui, who's one of our most consistent players, doesn't even get much game time now, is because of this system. No one can tell me otherwise, because Mazraoui, isn't that great as a wing back for me. And the three at the back, I think he's better. But you've got players really in Amarim's eyes that have to play. Like, for me, there's no doubt that Euro and De Ligt are our two best defenders and have to play. But then when you've got Luke Shaw on the money that he's on, you've got Harry Maguire that he loves as well, which means that Mazraoui, unfortunately, has to settle for a place on the bench. And that's a joke in itself. But you play four at the back, Mazraoui can play right back. And he's better than Delo. So you've got Mazraoui and Dorgu as the fullbacks. De Ligt and Euro spoke about already at centre-backs, which I'm happy with. Again, I like natural balance. A left-footed player on the left-hand side, right foot on the right-hand side. But again, just getting a place for Euro and De Ligt, I'm happy with. And then you've got the 4-3-3. You can play Casemiro, in the middle of the three. And again, you get a better Casemiro. Why? Because Casemiro played in that formation at Real Madrid. If you're playing with Casemiro where there ain't too many gaps, and he can be disciplined in that position and just use his experience, you get a better Casemiro. Not to mention, he's a goal threat as well from set pieces and from if balls are put into the box, if he finds himself there. Then you've got Kobbie Mainoo, who can dictate the tempo of a game and can obviously play better in that position. And for me, Ahmad, I'd like to see Ahmad as a number 10, but can Ahmad play as a more advanced central midfielder? I believe he can. So I'm happy with that three. And then you've got Mbeumo as the wide forward on the right, Cunha as the wide forward on the left, Zirkzee is the striker. That's a very good team for me. And then you've got the likes of Sesko on the bench. If it's not going well, you can change things. There's other players on the bench that, if you want to change things up, you can use them. But again, it's not going to happen under this manager. It's not going to happen. So Amarim would play Neymar and Messi at wing back. He's a waste man. I can't disagree with that. Man. Like, this manager thinks he's clever than everyone else. That's the problem. He thinks he's smart because just play players in their positions, man, and just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Playing Ahmad at wing back doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make no sense to me. And I think the biggest problem with playing Ahmad at wing back, you have people saying that Ahmad's not a 10, or people just being satisfied with Ahmad playing at wing back because he's in the team. The bigger picture is why this man just playing him there in the first place is the problem. Hey, Gav, annoyed about yesterday. Amrim knew that Daesh knew that he would do long ball, and he did nothing like not subbing Mainoo or Zirkzee. And I hate seeing Dallo on the left, and I love Glasner. Yeah, listen, Glasner's a top manager, man. Just look at how Palace are performing right now. He's got players that many fans wouldn't really have signed in the first place. He's got players there now that you're thinking, yep, I'll take him. Like, this is how good of a manager Glasner is showing, And again, the fact that we knew before the game, or certain of us knew before the game that Sean Dyche was gonna sit in and allow United to try and break them down. And the best way to break a team down in the low block is to have players that can break the low blocks. But you need highly technical, skilled players, because that long ball's not going to work. If your defense is sitting deep, the long ball's never going to work because there's no space. So what do you need? You need players that are good in possession to keep hold of the ball and break the lines, whether it's from skill or a defense splitting ball. The fact that Ahmad's playing that wing back and Cunha's the only other player, why did we think we were ever going to break down Nottingham Forest? You know? But that's on the manager, because the manager can't even identify what players he needs on the pitch to break down low block, which is why he's got to be sacked for me, because it's inexcusable. So, yeah, an absolute joke, man, this manager. Absolute joke. If we lose Mainoo, our club is fully gone. Big up to Fitz. So, yeah, listen, man. Do I believe Man United lose Mainoo? I don't. I don't think Man United are going to risk letting go of an academy player that we can't say isn't good enough, because he is good enough. He hasn't been given the chances. They're not going to risk losing an academy product for this manager. I can't see it, you know, because let's have a look right now. There ain't no other academy player in the first team that's a regular in the squad. There ain't. There ain't no one. So, and can I see it happening next year? You know, I like Sekou Kone. You know, you got JJ Gabriel, who looks like a promising player as well. There's other players probably as well, but are they going to be regulars in the first team? I can't see it. Kobbie's the closest player from the youth that's come through the academy that is the closest into the first team. So are they going to risk that? I don't think they are, you know. Hey Gav again, I love your vids. I agree that Baleba will be brilliant. And do you think we would get Baleba in January, or get a midfielder like Gallagher in January, or on a loan to last and then sign Baleba? Do you know what? I'm glad you've come out with that comment. Big up to the royalty master. You know what? I'm glad you've said that, yeah? I'm going to tell you this right now, yeah? If Manchester United somehow survive with this manager till January and they go and sign Conor Gallagher, fold the club right now. Just fold the club. There's no way I'm going to watch a midfield of Bruno Fernandes and Conor Gallagher. Just fold the club, man. Fold the club, because there's some things, yeah, that are unacceptable, and that is one of them. Conor Gallagher and Bruno Fernandes in midfield with what? Zirkzee and Kobbie can't even get game time, but yet you want to play Kobbie, Gallagher and Bruno. Listen, Baleba we've spoken about already. Just go and get Baleba, yeah? Do I believe Man United can get Baleba in January? I don't know, but I would like to think Man United go and test the waters in January. I like to think. But if there's a situation where this manager somehow survives and Man United go and sign Conor Gallagher, like, I don't care if it's a loan, yeah? Like, those kind of players, I'm sick and tired of seeing the club. If you're going to go and sign Conor Gallagher on loan, you'd have been better off just keeping Scott McTominay. So, again, I don't want to hear Conor Gallagher's name. I mean, when I first heard it, yeah, I actually thought it was a joke. The fact that this has got legs to it, yeah, just shows me that this club is not serious. And I'm looking at the signings that Ineos have made, yeah? They've made one blunder, and that was Manuel Ugarte, because he's absolute shit, Ugarte, yeah? If it meant that United were torn between Ugarte and Conor Gallagher, then just keep Ugarte, even though he is shit. But there's no way I'm going to accept Man United going for Conor Gallagher in January. You know, I'll be honest with you, yeah? You'll see an absolute meltdown on this channel if that was to happen. But I'm looking at Ineos and the signings they've made. I'm not for 1 second thinking they're going to go in for Conor Gallagher. I'm just not going to bring myself to even think about that. So, yeah, listen, man. Let's put that on the back burner, because that cannot happen. That just cannot happen. Conor Gallagher and Bruno Fernandes in central midfield in 2025 for Manchester United. Yeah, that can't happen. And that won't happen. That won't happen, in my opinion. So, yeah. Who you got? Islam Makhachev or JDM? You know what? I'll be honest with you, man. I've not been watching UFC probably for a little while. Who's JDM? I forgot who JDM is. Just shows you, man. I ain't watched it for a little while. I'm gonna say Makhachev, because I can't remember who JDM is. If anyone knows who JDM is, then put it in the chat, man. I need to get back onto my UFC, but I ain't seen it for a little while. Uh, Sesko's far better than Zirkzee. Yeah, right then. I mean, tell me you haven't really watched Joshua Zirkzee. Listen, Sesko's a good player, but he ain't far better than Zirkzee. That's just nonsense. And I'd advise you to just watch the game properly, or just stop listening to other channels, man, because that's a complete lie. Again, what is he? And if you think he's far better, what is he far better at Zirkzee then? You know what? I love when people come on and have an opinion, because that's what it's about, yeah. But when you have an opinion, at least tell us why that's your opinion. You can't just come on there and just say things without anything to back it up, because anyone can go and do that. So yeah, what is he far better than? What is he far better than Zirkzee at? What's like? Let us know. Um, Ahmad played in an advanced position at Sunderland. Their fans literally loved him in that position. Listen, Sunderland fans said he's their best ever player. There was Sunderland fans out there saying, he's their best ever player they've had. That's how good Ahmad is. There's a reason why Ahmad was called the Ivorian Messi at Atalanta. There's a reason for that. So again, people that think he's not a 10, people that don't think he's a top player, that finish yesterday just showed you why he's a top player. Because he's the only one on that pitch, apart from possibly Cunha, I would say, that could have produced that finish. You know what I mean? So, yeah, listen, man, he's a top player, man. And he's playing that wing back. Ridiculous. So we need Anderson, not Baleba. Anderson allows Mainoo to literally dictate the Prem. I disagree with that. I disagree. As I said, man, I like Elliot Anderson, but I don't want to have two right-footed central midfielders. You know, I want to have a left-footed central midfielder for the balance. It's important for me. It's important. So, for me, it's got to be either Mainoo or Anderson, because there's no way, yeah, Kobbie's gonna. If Anderson was to come, let's say, it's letting me know that Kobbie's unless the formation changes, Kobbie's gonna go, which I don't think is gonna happen. So I don't want to see Anderson and Mainoo in the midfield together, because for me it's got to be either or. I'd much prefer left-footed. If you can get Anderson and then you get a Baleba as well, and you got Mainoo in there, then happy days, man. I won't be disappointed. But I don't see Anderson coming in, especially under this manager, and having Anderson and Mainoo together. That's not going to happen. So, but I do like Anderson. I do. I think he's a very good player, man. He is. And with Elliot Anderson as well, he's the closest player that I've seen. And again, I'm not saying he's identical, yeah, or he's like this player, but he's the closest player I've seen to a Steven Gerrard. I think he's got a bit of Steven Gerrard in him. And again, I'm not saying he's as good or he's going to be as good as Gerrard, yeah? But he's got a bit of Steven Gerrard in. And he's the closest midfielder for England that I've seen to that kind of way. But I do think he's good. Anderson, Mainoo and Ahmad, that's a world-class midfield. Yeah, that's not very balanced though. So again, yeah, it's not balanced. There's you've got Ahmad who's a 10. You've got if that's a 4-3-3, it's not a great. It's not very balanced for me as a free. I think you need to have a left-footed one. If you're gonna play Ahmad in the 10, you need to have a left foot and a right footer for me. If you're gonna play a 4-3-3 with someone slightly deeper and then two just ahead, I don't think that works, because Ahmad's more of an attacker in that sense. And then again, who's gonna sit between Anderson and Mainoo? Anderson could sit, but yeah, listen, I like Anderson, but unless Man United are gonna play a 4-2-3-1, and they've got a left-footed one there. I mean, if you had a Baleba and an Anderson or a Walton, because I think Baleba should be signed, man. Baleba, Anderson, you know what I mean? That'd be a great partnership for me. But that means, if it's a 4-2-3-1, where there's like Ahmad in the 10 for me, but what happens to Kobbie? But yeah, listen, man, let's just see what happens. But between Baleba, Walton, Anderson, I know people mentioned Angelo Stiller. Like, I think Stiller's a very good player, but I'd have Baleba and Wharton ahead of Stiller. Man United need to be in the market for at least one of them, put it that way. So we'll see what happens. Do you know what? That is a great midfield. Baleba, Mainoo, and Ahmad. That's a great midfield because you've got Mainoo who can dictate, Baleba who's box to box. You know, both players are press resistant as well. Baleba can play slightly defensive, and then you've got Ahmad in the 10, you know, who has the qualities of a number 10 and can work as well. So as I said, man, that's a great balance for a midfield, you know. And this is the midfield that I said I would like to see. That's never going to happen under this manager, you know. But if you can get Baleba in, which should happen, you know, Baleba and Mainoo midfield and Ahmad in the 10, listen, I'm here for it, you know. But as I said, man, this club is at the moment is incapable of doing what's right. So who knows, man. But Vivel will sign Stiller from Bundesliga. I'm not convinced after Vert signing. I don't. Man United are not signing Stiller. I think that's just a fan theory. I think fans want Stiller. Um, yeah. So I think fans want Stiller, but I don't think Man United are looking at Stiller as much as they're looking at other players, because I think Stiller's a good player, you know. But why would Man United pivot to Stiller over Baleba, who they definitely tried to sign at the start of the summer, and not to mention, not to mention. Bear me 1 minute, guys. Why would Man United pivot to Stiller when they tried to get Baleba at the start of the summer, and then the likes of Adam Wharton are out there as well. So yeah, I'm not believing the Stiller thing. Even though Stiller for me is a very good player. But again, I see Stiller going to, if Stiller was to move to a team in this league, you know, you could possibly say a Man City, a Liverpool, a Chelsea. You know, if Chelsea were looking at a left-footed central midfielder, if they was going to move on Lavia, who by the way is a top player. So yeah, listen, man. I think Stiller's more of a fan signing, really. I don't think United are looking at Stiller as much as what's been put out there. Can we sign both Baleba and Anderson for a combined of 110 million? Baleba 50 and Anderson 60. No, we can't. No, we can't. Baleba is going to cost, even though Baleba hasn't been great, I still expect Baleba to go for about 70 to 80 mil. But again, United are not going to pay that up front. That'll be in installments. I think the fact that Anderson is an international now as well, and his price tag would have gone up this season, you know, you're looking at probably a similar fee for him. So again, yeah, I don't see United signing both of those players for 110 million combined. That's not going to happen. You know, it's optimism, but it's not going to happen. Arsenal is shit. What do you think? Yeah, listen, I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. They're top at the moment, but do I think Arsenal go on and win the league? I don't. And I'm still gonna say that Man City win this league, because I've seen a lot of Arsenal, and defensively they are very solid. But do I think that defense is impenetrable? I don't. I think that defense will come unstuck, you know. And their biggest problem for me is the fact that the majority of their goals have been from set pieces. You know, it's only a matter of time before teams stop that and force Arsenal to now score from open play. You know, because they were 17th from open play goals not too long ago. I think they might still be there. I know they beat Burnley yesterday, but again, Burnley newly promoted. You know, you expect Arsenal to beat them. But again, one of their goals come from a set piece. The other one come from a cross, Declan Rice header. You know, that isn't sustainable. You know, I know Arsenal fans will probably say it is, but let's wait and see, man. Guys, make sure we're smashing the like button and make sure we're subbing to the channel as well. So we got 15 likes on there. Big up yourselves. Make sure you're subbing to the channel if you're enjoying the content. And again, make sure you share the content as well. I'm going to be live next week, guys. So I'm obviously live tomorrow, normal time, 12:30 and 5:30 with Jonas. And then obviously Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got 2 watch-alongs to do. So Champions League, Bayern, PSG. And then Wednesday, there's a game as well, which I can't remember. But yeah, listen, we're going to definitely be live during the week for the 2 watch-alongs. So yeah, make sure you guys come through and support the channel. Arsenal will fall off, as they always do. Then lose Saliba, Gabriel, they'll be done for. Yeah, listen, Arsenal will fall off for me. I think at this moment in time, you know, they've been the most consistent team. But do I believe Liverpool Madrid? Yeah, is that on Wednesday? Liverpool Madrid. So I'm gonna do a watching on probably for that game as well. So if that's on Wednesday, then I'll do that game, and then I'll do the PSG Bayern game on Tuesday. So yeah, 2 watch-alongs for you guys this week. But yeah, listen, back to what I was saying. Arsenal, for me, they've been the most consistent team. No one can deny that. You know, they haven't been great to watch, but they're picking up points. Is it sustainable? I don't think it is. I don't, you know. Gyökeres as well has been poor. Again, I didn't watch the game yesterday against Burnley. I know Arsenal fans will be getting excited that he scored. But what I will tell you is concerning that his goals are coming against newly promoted teams. You know, he got 2 against Leeds, 1 against Burnley. And have they played Sunderland yet? I don't think so. So the better the team, Gyökeres isn't scoring goals. You know, I had people telling me that Gyökeres is going to get 25 goals, 25 league goals this season. What's he on? 5. He needs 20 more. Yeah. Do I believe he gets that? No, I don't. Because, as I said, man, the majority of his goals are coming against the lesser teams. You know, and he hasn't really been playing great. So yeah, it's not sustainable, man. As I said, I think the one concern that fans need to have, Arsenal fans need to have, is the fact that the 2 teams that you would think that they're going to be vying with for the title, Liverpool and Man City, they haven't won either game. And they've got to play Liverpool in the return fixture at the Emirates and City at the Etihad. So those 2 games there, they're going to need to at least win one of them. So let's see what happens. But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Make sure you guys smash the like button on your way out as well. We got 16 likes on there. So yeah, smash the like button. Sub to the channel as well. And most importantly, make sure you share the channel as well. So again, if you enjoy the content, yeah, I say appreciate you guys if you do smash the likes, share the channel as well, and sub. So yeah, back tomorrow. Should be back tomorrow at normal time, 12:30, and then 5:30 with Jonas as well. Obviously, Jonas is a Liverpool fan. Obviously, he'll be in better spirits today, tomorrow, after Liverpool won the game against Aston Villa. So yeah, make sure you join us tomorrow. And as I said, watch-alongs Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I'll do a watch-along for the Man United Tottenham game on the weekend as well. So yeah, so some content coming your way, guys. So again, make sure you guys are smashing the like button, subbing to the channel, and check out my other content as well. Some good content on there. There's some content that's on playlists. So whether you want to see me talk about, you know, Manchester United players in particular, or even if you want to see me scoring some goals for either side, you know, there's some good content on there. So yeah, make sure you guys go over and check that out. And I've got some boxing clips that I need to put up as well for my fight in December. So I'll be putting a little clip together for the members only section. So again, if you guys want to become a member, you know, obviously make sure you guys check out how to become a member. You know, it's an affordable price as well. And obviously just help show your support to the channel. So yeah, make sure you guys get on with that. And there's some good pictures, obviously, as well, as part of being a member for the members section. And once we hit 10 members, guys, I'll be doing a live Q&A as well. So it'll be a live Q&A where you guys can ask me any kind of questions. And again, I'll have some questions for you guys, whether it's based on football or other things. So yeah, again, man, if you guys do like the channel, make sure you're supporting it. So but yeah, big up to all the mods coming through. Big up to all the newcomers as well. And as I said, back tomorrow, normal time at 12:30. So yeah, hopefully you guys come back on. If not, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.